Hey guys, Professor Bill, Comic Book University, and Star, issue number 3 of 5. Man, I can't wait to go back to regular, physical, freaking comic books. If we can ever go back to that, they might all end. They might all end. I'm not a gloom and doom, and I don't believe in the zombie apocalypse. Apocalypse, sure. Zombies, no. Watch all of a sudden and be like, you said there weren't zombies. If ever I wanted to be wrong. Look, the last time that I wound up reading digital comics, like as a series, was by Dennis Hopeless Hallam. He wasn't called Hallam back then. Suddenly he got a last name, a real last name. Although I really dug Hopeless. And by Kelly frickin' Thompson, she was doing the Jessica Jones books, and he was doing the Cloak and Dagger books. Those are the last times I really went full digital, because they weren't available on physical copies. Mind you, the Jessica Jones comic books are currently coming out on physical. And then COVID-19 happened. Some things just weren't meant to be, man. I don't know what to tell you. Anyway, so yeah, here we got this amazing freaking comic book right here. Issue number 3 of 5. We really delve into the psychological profile of Ripley Ryan. And we've been doing that. In this case, wow, it got deep. Okay, so let's get talking about who made this comic book, and then we'll delve into the book itself. So, oh crap, I should probably go up and actually look at that, because I don't have a physical copy to flip through. So, writer Kelly Thompson, artist Javier Pina with Felipe Andrade Cien Almas. Okay, those final two names, Andrade Cien Almas, actually a tribute to WWE. I don't know if Felipe Andrade is actually Cien Almas in disguise, but I haven't ever seen the two together. Anyway, Jesus Abertov on colors, VC's Clayton Cowles doing the letters and the design. The cover art is by Carmen Carnero and Jesus Abertov, and the logo is by Selena Mahina. Hey, I'm not laughing with you, or I'm not laughing at you, I'm laughing with you. Your parents had way too much fun with your name, but that's okay. It's cool, man. Anyway, variant cover artist, Raza. I don't think your parents had anything to do with your name. I think that you just decided, you know what? The best comic book covers will be done by Raza. So there we go. Final note on this, the time and reality gems are spoken for. That's Hector Bautista with the time gem, and host Ripley Ryan with the reality gem. The other gems, they're in unknown origins at this point. And yes, I still, once in a while, call them gems because I grew up in the Starlin era. Okay, so we got... we come to find out that Ripley Ryan was actually in this cave and meeting this dragon. The dragon was actually her and all this crazy stuff. So the entirety of the previous issue all happened inside of her mind. She was basically punishing herself or trying to teach her a lesson through pain. That's perfectly acceptable and a little freaky. It's a little bit freaky. Listen, man, there are certain aspects of this book that kind of sort of just a little tiny bit reminded me of cutting. I actually dated somebody who I found out was cutting, and I was shocked and aghast and freaked out, and then realizing I was being really selfish about that because the damn thing wasn't about me, was it? But all that being said, it is really messed up, and it is a real thing, and it is a way of trying to make sense of the real around you, the world around you. But it's a slip, but it's true, the real around you, because you can't make sense of that real, but the pain you can at least understand. And that sucks, and it is messed up. It's really messed up. But yeah, I don't really want to go into that too much more, and I don't do edits. So yeah, a little bit of my past, not that big of a deal. So in this particular case, yeah, she's basically torturing herself. It's like, to me at least, my understanding of this, my take on this is that it's almost like she's cutting. Ripley Ryan has dealt with some serious trauma in her recent past. I don't know about her deep past, but her recent past. You know what I'm saying? She was affected by the whole thing, like the issue 1 through 5, 1 through 6 maybe, whatever it was, in the current Captain Marvel series, because Carol Danvers was brought over to the other side. She had to deal with the problem and whatnot, and She-Hulk wound up getting hurt, or one of her best friends, Jennifer Walters, who, mind you, only a year ago or so was actually put into a coma right in front of her also. So a lot of trauma on the part of Carol Danvers. But Carol Danvers has dealt with a lot of stress in her time, including being raped and mind controlled by what would turn out to be her son slash mate. God, comics were really freaking weird back in the day. Anyway, I think that was issue number 200 of the Avengers. God, that was freaking terrible. That was literally the worst comic book in the history of creation. But hey, let's move on from that. So anyway, yeah, that happened. So Carol Danvers has dealt with her own level of stress. Hey, let's not forget about Rogue, right? All the crap that she dealt with because of Rogue. Does it make her stronger? Yeah, in her particular case, it does. Trauma doesn't necessarily make you stronger. It gives you scar tissue. Hey, I got some scar tissue on my lungs from having freaking pneumonia 3 times. Do you think that somehow makes me stronger? No, it actually doesn't. Also pulled me out of the freaking martial arts, so there's that. So scar tissue can work in multiple different directions, depending on where the scars are. And dealing with mental trauma is absolutely no joke whatsoever. You've heard me talk about, I imagine, unless you're new to the channel, you've heard me talk about some former soldiers that I knew when I was, myself a soldier, and talking about the trauma, that they've dealt with, PTSD and the like. Ripley Ryan, however, doesn't have those kinds of scars. She didn't heal the same way that Carol Danvers did, because we're all different. We all react to stimuli different. It's not just our upbringing. It's also just who we are as a person. We're not the sum total of our experiences. That simply can't be the case. We're the sum total of our experiences as they affect us as individuals. Hey, imagine that. Kind of takes away the nonsensical explain away answers that people give to others who are just trying to voice that there's hurt in the world and that they're experiencing some of it. In this particular case, Ripley Ryan needs one of those shoulders to lean on, but she doesn't know she can trust anyone. Dealing with the idea that, and this may not seem like a big deal, but when Ripley Ryan was pulled over to that other world and she was traumatized by the crazy crap that was going on, forced into a wartime situation as a casualty, left to be collateral damage potentially, she saw Jennifer Walters, She-Hulk, and she's like, oh yes, we're saved. She saw Hazmat, yes, we're saved. She saw Carol Danvers, oh great, we're saved. And yeah, eventually, but it wasn't easy, was it? It wasn't even remotely easy. It was really freaking hard. There was a lot to deal with there. And she had to deal with a lot of crap. And it doesn't explain properly, it doesn't give her an excuse for what she did, but she did choose to handle her trauma in that regards. Think about the way that a parent will look like a god in the eyes of their children. And then as the child gets older, they start to understand mistakes that parents have or do make. And suddenly those parents aren't gods anymore. They have to be brought down off of that pedestal. And children will react to it differently depending on how the child treated them or who the child is as an individual. This can be traumatic for a lot of kids, especially if they really put their, like let's say you put a parent on a pedestal and that parent wound up cheating on the other parent. That's a big deal. What if that parent beat that child or did something along those lines or went to jail, you know what I'm saying? And it was a crime that you know for a fact that he or she committed. These are things that can really traumatize a kid. It can really screw a kid over in a major way. So here we are. We're looking at Ripley Ryan, who pretty much idolized Captain Marvel in that way. Hey, she was going to do this awesome fluff piece on Captain Marvel. Probably felt like she was in the safest hands possible. I'm around one of the greatest superheroes, one of the most powerful superheroes there is on this planet. And it didn't save her. And she thought she was going to die every second of her life for the time while she was over there. I'm saying, it's kind of messed up. It's kind of messed up. And when push comes to shove, she's still dealing with this. Then it only got worse when she wound up being killed by Captain Marvel. Hey, sometimes it happens. You can't say that Danvers didn't do something to try and help her, right? But they both tried to do what they could with the abilities and the time and the understanding that they had. Look how deep this comic book can go if you just really look at it. Look at it past the nose on your face. You know what I'm saying? It's one thing to read a comic book from a distance. It's another thing to really get close to it, mentally and really understand what's happening with the book. I love being able to do that with a book, and books like this really make it easy. It's funny. I feel like Miss Thompson is really good with handling a lot of these characters who have had a lot of trauma in their lives. Speaking of which, look at what she's doing with the Scarlet Witch right now. Carol Danvers is prone to making mistakes. It's one of the reasons why I absolutely love, in case you didn't hear, freaking love her character. She is brilliant. She is perfectly flawed. God, what an interesting read. Scarlet Witch, on the other hand, she's a character who's made some mistakes, but she's also been possessed a lot of times. She's also lost a lot of control of her power. Hey, man, I know that the X-Men fans are like, I will never love Captain America and the Scarlet Witch because they were evil to my mutants. And I'm talking about like the really extreme pocket sect of the X-Men fans, because it loves me some X-Men. But, you know, there's some people, it's like, dude, have you ever read anything besides the X-Men? Because Captain America's really awesome. And Scarlet Witch, okay, well, you're not entirely wrong with Scarlet Witch. She's done some messed up things, you know, in her past. Everybody's talking about M-Day. With all due respect, screw M-Day. Listen, man, Kelly Thompson also wrote freaking West Coast Avengers. But the original West Coast Avengers, y'all ever read that comic book where she turned evil and she wound up scratching off or just cutting up Wonder Man's dick? Like, whatever she did to him, they didn't show, but they showed the looks on everybody else's faces, and you read the onomatopoeia of the scream. That wasn't onomatopoeia, it was actually a scream. There you go. Of Wonder Man, when, like, she altered reality and cut through his ionic form and actually caused him damage. I don't know what happened. I don't want to know what happened, but I know that was really messed up, and it effing traumatized me as a kid, man. Wow, that was messed up. Wow. So I'm saying, you can take your M-Day. I'll take 30 more of those freaking M-Days, man. This was messed up. All that being said, wow. Yeah, anyway, I think this was before the Lorena Bobbitt thing. Whoo! So, yeah, feel free to look that one up, kids. Anyway, so she has run into her fair share of mistakes, but one of the things you can love about Scarlet Witch is that when push comes to shove, she's usually written as somebody who's trying to learn from those mistakes and fix those mistakes, actually move on. You know what I'm saying? Look, I don't usually like books written by, there's certain writers, their writing just rubs me the wrong way. It doesn't come off the way that they wanted it to, and so I just try not to read their books. Strange Academy is one of those books that pretty much every comic book alumni disagreed with me on. I didn't like Strange Academy, you know what I'm saying? But a lot of you guys did. I respect that. That's awesome. We're not always going to agree. That being said, I can genuinely appreciate, as I said, some of the characters who did show up here. It's a good use for them. One of them should absolutely be Scarlet Witch, because look at all the mistakes, all the times that she screwed up. Look at who some of her masters were. You know what I'm saying? Agatha Harkness, for crying out loud. Bova, you know what I'm saying? Look at the people who she's actually learned from. And so think about all that she's actually able to teach if she so chose. Saying, that's a big deal. In this particular case, Scarlet Witch, Wanda Maximoff, whatever the hell her last name is at this point, Wanda, she's recognizing, hey man, we're in the making of a bad guy here. Carol Danvers, who always leads with a jaw and can't usually see past the nose on her face, is like, she already is a bad guy. I had to kill her. I gave her as many chances as I could. Okay, but I didn't. So let me try. You took things into your own hands. Now I want to take things into my own hands. You need to just lay off. And she didn't. It is what it is, man. It is what it is. But before that, she was trying to give her a chance. And the thing that she said, the most important thing in this comic book that is stated, as opposed to what's under the surface, what you're trying to interpret, the most important given here is that this is the potential of a villain in the making, a true enemy, a supervillain. And we could fix that now. And she recognized that. If anybody should recognize moments where somebody could go bad, it should undeniably be Wanda. Because, wow, I don't think anybody in comics has had more of them, unless they were actually freaking bad guys, like legit bad guys. Anyway, Fantastic book. I don't know that this should be considered anything but. Of course, I'm sure there's going to be some comic skaters out there who are going to be like, this book, rah, rah, rah." I usually see the titles of those after the fact. I don't understand these. I genuinely don't understand these people. At the end of the day, just right away, these books are stupid. You know, I talk about Carol Danvers not being able to see past the nose on her face. These people, I wonder if their noses are even in their view. Like, are they just blurry images in between their eyes? Because at the end of the day, man, this book, like this issue, and what you understand from the previous issue, such in-depth, thoughtful writing. I'm not going to complain about the art either, but like the story in and of itself, as it's presented, there is so much to unpack from it. To just dislike a book because you couldn't understand it actually says a lot more about you than it does about anything else that you could possibly bring up about this book. I'm just going to put that out there, leave that in the ether. Hey, if you guys like what I do and you got any value from this and enjoy the psychological in-depth analysis, maybe consider turning your phone to the sideways and tap that like button. And hey, would it hurt to allow an ad to play once in a while? You don't even have to watch the ad, just let it play to its completion. Maybe watch your next video on a different screen. This way, I can get paid. Because yes, the only way, aside from like Patreon or donations through PayPal, that we YouTubers get paid directly from YouTube is actually from ads. And if you click through an ad, we don't get paid from them. So I would generally appreciate that. And until next time, Professor Bill, Comic Book University. Class dismissed.